Howie Roseman may have just had the best NFL draft, and I'm not only talking about this past weekend, I mean ever. What is going on, everybody? Welcome into A to Z Philly, your number one home for Eagles coverage. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this content. Be sure to subscribe and also hit that bell down below. That way you don't miss any of the upcoming coverage. RB back bringing you another one from the link, and shout out to everybody who hung out with us for the draft weekend. A lot of fun, live stream coverage, videos, and all this. It was a great time. And talk about putting on a show. Howie Roseman stole the display. You are not going to want to miss what other GMs, other executives around the league had to say about Howie Roseman. We'll talk about these picks, give a little recap, talk about what they mean for the Eagles going forward, but I want to talk about a funny story as well that came out regarding Jalen Carter. We'll get into all of it, but before we do so, shout out to the sponsor of today's video, BetMGM. Enjoy all your favorite sports like never before at BetMGM. Sign up using code ATOZPA and receive up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if you don't win your first bet. When you register with BetMGM, you'll get instant access to a variety of parlay selection features, live betting options, player props, and daily boosted odds specials. And with BetMGM at your fingertips, every play and every game matter more than ever. Find out why BetMGM is the king of sportsbooks. Sign up today with bonus code ATOZPA and get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if you don't win your first bet. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 years of age or older to wager. Pennsylvania only. New customer offer. Bonus bets expire 7 days from issuance. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, let's talk about the Philadelphia Eagles. So Howie Roseman stole the show this weekend, and shout out to our A to Z team for putting this graphic together. Really enjoyed this one. As you can see, the grades, the overall ranks out of the position as well. But let's just look at this draft for a second. If you went into this weekend and took a list of these players, first off, you would have never thought they'd all be drafted to the same team. Second off, you never would have thought they would have been drafted to the team that just went to the Super Bowl. And third, you would have never thought that this could be as complete as this. A-plus draft. The Eagles voted across the league, had the best NFL draft of the weekend, and it really is a treasure, man. Just looking at Howie Roseman, obviously what him and the organization have been through, and I've been saying it time and time again. I'll say it one more time. The man is hungry. He is motivated. He got there. He got a taste of it again, but he does not want to be doubted. For years, he was thrown out of the city, right? And I mean, even going back to when Chip Kelly threw him in a closet with dust bunnies, okay? Howie Roseman is trying to prove that he can do it yet again. And I mean, this 2-year stretch, honestly, might be the most iconic 2-year stretch I've ever seen from a GM. I'm not kidding. And I'm not just saying it because it's the Philadelphia Eagles. Howie Roseman is on a different trajectory right now. Go back to what he did last offseason. Look at what he's doing right now. I'd even argue this offseason's better with what he's been able to pull off after going to the Super Bowl, having to, cut ties at certain places and keeping all the guys around that he did. It's just been insane. And then, obviously to be a championship level team, you have to draft well. And he brings in these guys in one weekend. I mean, he gets arguably the best talent in the draft itself in Jalen Carter at number 9. All he had to do was give up a 4th round pick to move up. He gets his teammate Nolan Smith at number 30. Didn't have to move up at all. He fell, and Howie said, I will jump on it. He was fielding calls per reports from other teams. He said, no, I'll go do that. Nolan Smith was a guy we extensively covered here before the draft, and the Eagles get both of them. They were probably my top 2 players. It's just insane. Then he gets depth help, up front on the offensive line from Tyler Steen, another Alabama guy. Then Sidney Brown out of Illinois, a safety, right? And Illinois was one of the best defenses in the nation. Then he goes and gets another Bulldog, Keely Ringo, who I was calling for, we were on the live stream. I was saying my top available is Keely Ringo. And he doesn't even get him until the 3rd day. And he was the best available at the time, and Howie jumps on it, makes a trade, and gets him. And then you have Tanner McKee in the 6th round, and then Moro Ajomo, who I don't think anybody thought would have fell down to the 7th round. Just an A-plus draft. When I went into this draft, I said, okay, the Eagles have a couple areas that they can address. Obviously, their team is well put together. They have a sound roster, but if I'm thinking off the top of my head, looking at the guys that left this offseason, what should they target? Safety was probably up there. Defensive line or offensive line help, right? Help in the trenches, as Howie's philosophy always is. I knew they were going defensive line in the first round. I knew they were going for somebody like that. Like I said, Bijan was an exciting prospect. He was an intriguing, story, but the Eagles always stick to the trenches. That's how you build and win championships. And I mean, it's been proven time and time again. You look at Howie Roseman, what he has done, and he goes out and he gets the best freaking talent in the draft. And then when you look at the running backs, by the way, not even on this graphic, what does Howie do? On day 3, he trades for DeAndre Swift. He notices the Lions going and drafting a running back in the first round, and he says, okay, let's go pick up another guy. When you look at the Eagles running back room, the consolidated amount of the salaries, I think it's 4 or 5 players at this point, are all less than what Miles Sanders is going to make next year in Carolina. You want to talk about value, that is how you do it. And I mean, we know he's a cap wizard, but now with the drafting, talent that he has acquired, his ability to go out and get prospects. What did I say before the draft? These last 3 years, he targets guys from winning programs. Really, that's how you should do it, in my opinion, every single time. Those are the guys that are the most NFL ready, the Georgias, the Alabamas, right? Guys like that. And look at it. Obviously, there's the running joke, the Philly Bulldogs. And shout out to the Eagles page for putting this up. What a graphic, man. I mean, at one point, people thought Howie was trolling. He was going to getting every Georgia guy, but it's good. You add those guys onto Nakobe Dean, Jordan Davis. You got the whole squad back together. That team has won 2 national championships in a row. It's just absurd, man. Even DeAndre Swift was a former Bulldog and a hometown kid, and it just makes perfect sense. He addressed the running back room. Maybe the only other thing he could have addressed is linebacker, but Howie Roseman always finds gems, whether they're undrafted or, pickups during camp, guys that are cut. I mean, it can't get better than this, right? Even looking towards the future, Tyler Steen, a guy who could slide into guard maybe, or a guy who could replace, one of the offensive linemen that could potentially retire in the next couple years. It seems like everybody on the offensive side comes from Alabama these days for the Eagles, and everybody on the defensive side comes from Georgia, 2 of the most accomplished, most successful programs in college football. So just an unbelievable draft out of Howie Roseman. Now, some executives around the league, per sources, and this was coming from multiple sources, are actually annoyed with how much praise Howie Roseman is getting. You know what that screams to me? Howie Roseman is turning into Mr. Steal Your Girl. Howie Roseman is getting jealousy from other executives around the league. That's right. He's doing such a good job that these other GMs are like, yo, how the hell is he pulling this stuff off? I mean, they're looking at what's going on, bringing back some of these vets, moving cap around, signing Jalen Hurts. How is it all possible? This man is right now the best GM in the league, in my opinion. And I just never could have imagined saying that a couple years ago. It's gotten to a point where other GMs are literally envying Howie Roseman. This man is on it. I mean, listening to him on some of those calls in the draft room, seeing how everybody's just standing back watching him work. He's going around fist pumping everybody. I love it, man. It's amazing. It's amazing. Eagle fans should feel in a good spot right now. And Howie even talked the other day after the draft, and he said, we're not even anywhere near done. And there is a lot of time from now until the start of the season. You have all the summer festivities, and I would only expect Howie to make this roster better. He got there. He was so close. He wants to go back. He wants to go back bad. I would not be surprised if you saw a trade for a veteran, in the coming months. But shout out to John Clark with the quote here from Howie Roseman. And I thought this was hilarious as well. Howie last year, he went to Georgia, and him and Nick, we're talking about it. And Nick asked him about the guys he liked. And he said, quote, I went to Georgia last year at practice. I remember coming back. Coach was like, who did you like there? I'm like, I don't know, the whole defense. Those things stuck with Howie Roseman. He said, we're going to go get some of those Bulldogs, some of those dogs for the Philadelphia Eagles, and, just bring that camaraderie here, even more, that winning culture, that winning mentality. And there's just not a better spot for these guys to come start their careers behind some of the greatest Eagles, the guys that have won a Super Bowl, that have been there, this past season. So it's just amazing. I want to end on a quick story from Jalen Carter. And obviously there was the little interview going around where he talked to John Clark after the draft and said, we're going back to the Super Bowl. I'm ready. I love that confidence, that mentality. There was some drama with Jalen Carter, but he seems like a good kid to me. Here's a story from Georgia Tech's quarterback after getting dominated by Jalen Carter.
Literally at one point in the game, and this is like the weirdest trash talk I've ever heard in my life. I want to say it was number 88, the dude that like did this thing. Yeah, this thing right here. He like said the strangest thing to me. He was like,
by the way, this is a crazy graphic. Look at Jalen Carter literally holding up the guy he just sacked and celebrating while he's holding him up. This guy is an absolute mammoth.
He looked at me, he's like, y'all are so unprepared. I was like, y'all are so unprepared. Like all the things he could have said at this point in the game was like 45-0. He's like, y'all are so unprepared. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, y'all just don't know what's like going on. And I was like, yeah, we don't. Or what?
Yo, this man, Jalen Carter, let me tell you guys, he's got that low-key toughness, that low-key confidence and swagger to him. When I hear him talk, to be honest, he reminds me a lot of Fletcher Cox. He's not the most sound guy. He's not the biggest rah-rah guy, but when he gets between, those sidelines, he's a mammoth, dude. And he is about to wreak havoc. He is about to wreak havoc, and he's learning from the best. You want to apply more pressure to protecting against Jalen Carter. Then you got Brandon Graham, you got Josh Sweat, you got Hassan Reddick, Fletch, all these guys rushing you. There's nothing you're going to be able to do. This Eagles defense was historic in 2022. Imagine what they're going to be in 2023. I hope Sean Desai is already dialing up some blitz packages, because let me tell you something, this Eagles defense is going to be loaded with talent. They got tremendously better this weekend, and I don't think Howie's done. I think he is motivated to make this roster even better by week 1, and he'll find a way to do it. So we'll get into it more as we go in the coming weeks, break it all down. But what a story and what a draft. Maybe the best ever. Let me know what you think down below in the comment section. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And with that being said, I will catch you all on the next one. Peace.